The candles were blown out by the wind and a flying dragon flew through the sky. He grabbed the princesses and flew away. The princess was injured when the flying dragon threw her into a cave. Seeing the herbs handed over by the man, the princess wanted to show her gratitude. And just as their hands were clasped together, the flying dragon descended from the sky. The princess was terrified, and when the flying dragon left, the man on the other side of the cave was no longer moving. The princess panicked, picked up rocks and smashed them everywhere, smashed open the hole and escaped. Suddenly the flying dragon reappeared again. She rushed to escape and was soon forced to the cliff. But the man who came out of the cave after her was indeed the man. The princess realized that the man was the flying dragon, and in the panic, the princess stepped on the ground and fell down the cliff. The man realized that he was a flying dragon and saved the princess. But he was seriously injured, and the princess took good care of him. So she approached the man and tried to get him to take her home, but he refused. "If I touch the dragon in you, it will awaken. I will lose my mind." The man tells her that he saw his father murdered with his own eyes, and in desperation, he jumped off a cliff to take the form of a flying dragon. It turned out that the dragons had no females, and in order to reproduce later, they had to capture human maidens. After the maiden is pregnant, and the use of the dragon's fire will be burned to death, the son of the dragon will be born. He can only hide in the crevices of the mountain rocks, using the narrow space as a way to prevent the incarnation into the body of the dragon. For the safety of the princess, he endured the pain of making the decision to drive her away, and she reluctantly left. It wasn't long before she ran into the country's search and rescue team and was taken back to her country. "Will be married to someone else." The king saw her face sad, as if he understood something. "No matter what happens, you should quit from your heart." The man hated himself for being the descendant of a dragon and came to the cliff to finish his doctor. Just then, the princess, who was in the middle of her wedding ceremony, sang the dragon song. Suddenly the flying dragon overtook the crowd and grabbed the princess and flew off into the distance. The warrior tried to stop it but was stopped by the soldiers. The king smiled in relief at the sight. Only he knew who his daughter loved. The flying dragon threw the princess on the altar, trying to scare her. Instead, the princess threw her arms around him and kissed him directly. She loved him. And at the princess's confession, flying dragon slowly threw himself on the princess. The man repeats the story of the dragon to the baby. At this point, the princess appeared and told the baby that it was time for you to go to sleep.